Hey, welcome back to another video. I'm Paul Salter, and I'm so thrilled that you've decided to make the time to tune into another one of my videos. And on this particular video today, I want to do something completely different than what we typically do here on YouTube every single Tuesday. And then today, rather than teaching you, 3 ways to do this, 5 strategies to do this, I want to let you in on a little bit more of my story and speak to you from here, and of course a little bit from here as well, but really lead here to share with you some of the early struggles and challenges I faced that really shaped not only who I am today, but my messaging that I try to share with you. Because although looking at me, you might see here, and if I were to stand up, it wouldn't be very helpful because you just kind of get like a close-up groin shot, which is not what we're going for here. But you would see that I am of normal, healthy weight. And truth be told, just prior to filming this video, I weighed myself. I stepped on the scale for the first time in probably close to 2 years because I care that much about what the number is on that pesky clunk of metal. But back to the original point here, you'd see someone here of, normal, healthy weight. And maybe some of you watching this video sometimes struggle to connect with my messaging or really let what I'm sharing with you resonate because you see someone who looks like on the surface, on the exterior here, you can't really relate to because there's a discrepancy in weight or size or what seems like a perceived discrepancy in mental or emotional challenges that have been faced. And I'm here to tell you that that's not quite what's going on, because what you don't see is the challenges and the history of challenges and struggles I have faced dating back to when I first stepped into, I like to call the weight loss, nutrition, and fitness, or maybe just health arena or big umbrella industry of weight loss and diet culture. And you see, the way I was truly introduced or indoctrinated into this culture was through the lens of competitive bodybuilding. Yes, a physique-based sport in which I was purely judged on the amount of body fat I had, the amount of muscle I had, and my ability to show it off. And if you're unfamiliar with this domain, I can tell you after my years of competing, my years in addition to competing, of just preparing to compete or walking, living, sleeping, breathing that mindset, that for about 90 to 95% of people, it is purely a breeding ground for forming an unhealthy relationship with food and developing disordered eating patterns. Now, one quick distinction, I did not say breeding ground for developing an eating disorder. That is a complete separate entity and beast. I am saying disordered eating patterns that are not healthy, that are not serving you, and truly you are spending too much time, energy, attention on the food you eat and letting it rob you of all of the precious, wonderful things that life has to offer. And through my beginning and introduction to bodybuilding, I became very laser focused and hyper aware on what I was putting into my body. And I got to the point where I was truthfully married to MyFitnessPal, logging every single morsel of food I ate, every drop of fluid I consumed, so I could hit the specific calorie goal or macronutrient goal that I had on a daily basis, which was designed to help me lose as much weight as possible. And here's where things started to take a very negative turn. I became so obsessive, and I remember this so vividly, that in my junior year and my senior year of college, my junior year was when I did my first ever competition. I had a printed out super specific meal plan that was sitting on the counter of my kitchen in my teeny tiny college apartment, and it would tell me I was eating, I believe, 5 or 6 times during the day at that time. I had my specific meal time, the specific foods, the grams of protein, carbs, fat, total calories per meal, and at the end of the day totaled on this piece of paper. And I would eat the same freaking thing at the exact times, I'm talking down to the minutes, every single day, Monday through Sunday. And of course, a little bit of differentiation in terms of portions when it came to a training day and a non-training day. And I lived the better part of 2 years like this, meaning 2 years, junior year, senior year of college, when I was of legal age to even drink. I was skipping out on happy hour, foregoing the opportunity to attend day drinks, tailgates, dining out, etc. And as I started to really step into adulthood at this time, I know, finally at the ages of 21, 22, not 18 when most people do, I began to realize too that coming from a large family, I've got 20-something little cousins running around. My dad's one of 8, and we grew up all within 30 to 40 minutes of each other. That social occasions, family time, time with friends was a very large part of my life. And as I know you know very well, every single social occasion in some way, shape, or form, for the most part, revolves around food. And no, it's not carrots and celery and hummus plates and, lean cooked turkey breast, brown rice, and broccoli on these spreads. We're talking the good stuff, the high fat, the greasy, and the occasional healthier things sprinkled in. But the point is, most of these food-centric occasions are focused on not so healthy, not so nutrient-dense food options. And if I was, in fact, going to be attending many of these, which I really enjoyed, I wanted them to be a part of my life, I had to find a way to break free of this grip that too much nutrition knowledge. Now remember, I went to school for dietetics too. I had a ton of knowledge accumulated at this point between my education, my formal education rather, and the countless number of books, research articles, blogs, etc. I was devouring every single minute. And I really began to recognize, crap, I really want social occasions and delicious food to be a component of my everyday life, and not mean I'm eating, like, for better words, eating like an asshole every single day. But I like to have a little bit of moderation, variety, and tasty foods in some type of regular fashion throughout my life. And I had to figure out a way to break out of this feeling of not measuring every single bite of food I ate, because for the longest time I was too preoccupied with managing my macros instead of making memories. And I bet you can relate to this when you have your friends or family members who care, and maybe they see you kind of stuck with this tunnel vision, measuring every single thing you eat, bringing your own food to these occasions, or saying no thank you and bypassing what's provided, and then they're going to share with you, hey, just don't measure, or just don't log your food, just eat this. And yes, maybe for the most part they have, a good intention behind that recommendation, but you and I both know it's so much easier said than done. It wasn't simple for me to wake up one morning and flip a switch and just stop measuring my food. And there was a lot of just emotion and fear wrapped up into, what if I stop tracking and my weight balloons, or I start to lose all of my hard progress that I've earned in the gym the last 5, 6, 7 years. A lot of fear around the uncertainty and the unknown. And through a lot of trial and error, battling with the inner demons and the inner critic up here, I decided I needed to make a change. And it got to the point where, the FOMO was real. But in this case, I mean the FOMO, the fear of missing out on freaking life was real. And I recognized that this was not the future I wanted. I'm fortunate that I began to have these realizations at age 22 and really at age 23. And that doesn't mean, again, it happened overnight. I flipped a switch and I was able to enjoy life, eat whatever I wanted without portioning. No, that's not what happened. But I'm telling you, after years of just burnout, being married to MyFitnessPal, I had to learn to find a way to cut the cord, but not just so abruptly, not quit cold turkey, ease into, redeveloping, recreating a version of my life, remembering that I'm the author of my life, that allowed me to focus on the premium fuel sources that helped me feel good, look good, and perform at my very best during my workouts. And I had to start in a very similar way in which you and I learned to simply, and I know this might be cliche, ride a bike. I had to put some training wheels on and let go of some of my bad habits of over-obsessing over every single bite of food I ate. And the way I did that was simply with baby steps. What I mean by that is, again, coming from a background of years of measuring every single bite of food I ate, logging in an app, showing off how cool I was with my math calculations, yada yada, I stopped measuring my vegetables. Yeah, at one time I would put my vegetables on a food scale. Yep, did it, owning it. okay with it. And simultaneously, I stopped measuring my protein. So now when I was going to eat my meal, I was eyeballing my vegetables, eyeballing my protein, but still putting my carbohydrates and my fat on the food scale. And I got comfortable there. So now, instead of, not measuring carbs or fat, which is a great approach you can ease into, I took a different approach. Instead, I wasn't quite comfortable, foregoing measurement of carbohydrates during the day. This was very much in an era for me where carbs were really viewed as the devil and the reason for fat gain. So I wasn't quite ready for that. So instead, I stopped measuring veggies and protein, like I mentioned. Once per day, I didn't measure anything. I eyeballed it. And I'll be honest, I made this really super simple and easy to begin with. If I know I needed, my 30 grams of protein and like 20 or 25 grams of carbs, well, that was really easy to eyeball, a scoop and a half of whey protein and a banana. Boom, I'm checking both boxes. But I started to collect these tiny wins. And as I accumulated these tiny wins, I grew more and more confident. So confident that now once a week, I wasn't measuring a meal and I was eating whatever the heck I wanted. I wasn't going to a buffet, again, wasn't eating like an asshole, but I really started to, create what I now dub a free meal. I was enjoying a little ice cream, maybe a little pizza, a burrito, whatever it is, something off the beaten path compared to my version of normal for so many years. And I grew a little bit more confident with this. And as you can see here, I slowly took baby steps, and there were plenty of periods in which I got uncomfortable and I felt a little, tightly wound or guilty or anxious about my decisions, a little bit of regret the next day. And the beautiful thing was I could put a training wheel back on. I could take a step back temporarily just to, regain my bearings, regain my confidence and control and feeling that I could do this. And then I would take another step forward. I would get rid of measuring something else. And, I practiced this for years. To the point where when I did finally complete another diet, I believe this was in 2017, I completed 2 diets to prepare for a powerlifting meet, dropping 26 pounds in about 8 months over the course of 2 dieting phases with a lengthy post-diet maintenance phase in between. During those diets, I was eating out once a week. I ditched my relationship with MyFitnessPal very early on. I was still tracking food in a different way, using a lot of my experience here. I began to rely on, something we often forget. If you're listening to this and you have an experience of measuring every single bite of food you ate, well, you've eyeballed thousands, if not tens of thousands of repetitions of your portion of protein, carbs, and fat. So give yourself some credit and trust that you're able to do it. But going back to my diet, I brought this trust, confidence, and proven track record with me. I ate out once per week. I was very flexible in my food choices, having plenty of peanut butter, chocolate, the occasional donut, and this, that, and the other. Ice cream too was a good frequent staple for me. And like I said, I lost all of that weight. I've kept it off and I feel really good. And fast forward all these years later, from when I first got involved in the bodybuilding community, eating 6 times per day, tracking every little bite of food that went in my mouth, I can confidently share with you today, I eat 3 times per day. I measure this much of my food. Now, every once in a while, maybe once a week, I'll double check something on the food scale, whether if I'm under or over something in my mind, I need to really make sure I get enough protein or don't overdo it on the carbs or fats. I might double check, but honestly, I'm so confident I've really put together a plan that works for me and that I feel good about. And most importantly, I trust myself to get right back on track if I ever do get a little, outside where I'm supposed to be or do intentionally indulge. I know I'm going to get right back on track, and I encourage you to think the same way. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a little bit of a snapshot and peek into the history of how I really began my introduction to the overarching community of weight loss, the fitness industry, and diet culture, and how it really beat me down for a few years, and a couple of the strategies I used to come out of it and really develop a flexible, sustainable, individualized, unique to me, and quite simple approach to eating to feel, look, and perform my best. And I would love to know if you are struggling with feeling burnt out, tracking every little bite of food you're eating, if you're very fearful that if you do stop doing all of this tracking and portioning, you're gonna gain weight. Let me know how I can help. Put a question down in that comment section below. I'm excited to really hang out in the comment section of this video and help you share some of the insight that helped me. And if you enjoyed this video, I would just encourage you to consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you want more content like this, I would also encourage you, hey, subscribe to my channel. I'm really gonna make it a priority once a month, once every couple of weeks even, doing a more of a vlog style video like this to share more about my personal journey and what I have learned along the way. Well, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.